said, guys, so we are coming to you live here on Clubhouse. We're also coming live on my YouTube channel. So again, if you have someone that want to ping in and they are not on Clubhouse yet, make sure to let them know that they can go to the Fearless Investor YouTube channel as well. I've been starting to do these on the YouTube channel and getting a lot of interaction on that too. So it's kind of fun. But long story short, Jim and Jesse and I were texting a little bit ago, and we were like, man, we've been doing some really cool topics here, the last few weeks. And what could we do today? And I think this one of just kind of knowing like what skills to develop. And then what happens if you're not good at these skills? How can you either, learn to develop them or bring maybe someone in that already has that skill that you lack? So I think, the topic is called the top 5 skills to develop for an Airbnb business, but we'll talk about a lot more than Clubhouse.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, man. I didn't want to interrupt you, but it's locked. So people that aren't in the club, they can't see it when they're scrolling through.
Got it. And that's because we're in a club. Is that right?
That is correct. We're in a club. So anybody that's not in this club, they can't come in.
Got it.
You should be able to unlock it.
So
yeah, I think you can let the visitors in. Although I don't know if that removes the club name or not.
Yeah.
Do you want to unlock?
Oh, I did it. I did it. I got it.
Oh, there we go. Great job.
Sorry, I didn't know I was a moderator. I didn't realize I was a moderator.
Yeah, just for future reference, how'd you do that, Jesse?
I just clicked on the little 3 dots there and then clicked let people in.
Oh, okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you for pointing that out. Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, with that being said, let's jump into it. So first of all, we got a lot of great moderators here. They're going to talk about their top skills that they think we need to develop. But before we get into that, I want to get everyone an intro. And with that intro, I want to know what is the number one skill that you think is the most important to have in a short-term rental and Airbnb business. And not going to open for discussion while we're doing intros, but then after the intros and what you think the number one skill is that you need to have, I want to kind of go back to maybe 1 or 2 that really grabbed some attention and take it from there. So I'll start off really quick just to set the tone. Name's Kyle Stanley, and I am in Fresno, California. Started an Airbnb in 2019, really for full time. I was doing it kind of haphazardly on the side for a few years. As soon as I started doing it full time, we went from 0 to basically now we're at almost 40 units in just under 2 years, mainly with the co-hosting model. And so for me, I think the number one skill in this business that will make life so easy for you, it's a really boring word, but networking will help you to be able to blow up your business faster than anything. And to make it a little bit sexier of a word, I'm going to say adding a ton of value without expecting anything in return. So that is what I believe. And let's pass it over to Jim.
Thanks, Kyle, and thanks, everybody. My name is Jim. I've been on Airbnb for about 10 years, and I'm based here in Indianapolis, Indiana. As a matter of fact, Kyle, I think I was going through some messages. I think you and I first connected about a year ago or so, right about this month. So isn't that crazy how time's just flying here? But yeah, we focus on helping people manage and also kind of lean into convention traffic here in Indy. And my number one thing that I would recommend that I really think is a really top skill to develop is just adaptability, just like Norman was talking about, just being able to kind of read the landscape and kind of go through the ebbs and flows. And, if you're doing one, you're optimizing for yourself and the homeowners that you're managing for if you're co-hosting. So super excited to be a part of this topic and conversation here today and looking forward to learning from the rooms.
Awesome, Jim. Thanks, brother. Excited to always do these rooms with you. Norman, I know you already shared one skill, but what about just overall in general, a quick intro, and then what you think is the number one skill overall?
Hey guys, Norman Hamilton here from Comfy Living Arrangements. We're a hospitality company based out of Houston, Texas, currently managing about 19 properties. And I'd say for me, the number one skill is it's definitely patience, because there's so many things that happen, especially with guest experience and customer experience, where you have to just learn to be patient, take your time and really digest things that are happening with your customers or your guests, because times, whether it's like, what is it called? Claims issues or just like parties and stuff like that. Like you need to be patient, keep level head when you're approaching these situations. So that's my number one skill.
Yeah. Amen to that, man. We literally just had someone stay for 18 days, didn't have any complaints while they were staying. And then they tried to submit a claim for a full refund for stuff that they never even brought up with us. And I'm like, dude, that's like eating the meal that the waiter brought out to you. And then when you're done being like, yeah, that's the wrong meal. You gave me the wrong thing. And then asking for the same thing again. So patience. Yeah, that's key, man. I love it. And then Majid, I hadn't made you a moderator yet, but I'm going to do that now. Welcome in, Majid. Give us a quick intro and the number one skill that you believe you need for Airbnb.
Hi, Kyle. Yes, this is Majid. I basically started my short-term rentals during the pandemic, so don't have much experience, but I have 18 short-term rentals using the arbitrage method, and I'm also a tour host now as well. And I think the number one skill is learning how to leverage a team and manage people, especially scaling to multiple properties. You need a team, and you need to be able to properly manage that team.
I like how humble you are. You're like, I only have 18 units. That's awesome, man. No, that's great. I think that's an awesome skill to have. And I definitely want to talk more about that one for sure. Jesse.
What up, Kyle? Thank you for having me in the room, and I appreciate Jim, Norman, Majid, John. Thanks for hanging out, everybody else in the room. My name is Jesse Vasquez. I am the founder of AirVenture Hosting Company. I'm also a buy and hold real estate investor in the Central Valley. And I think one of the biggest skills to develop is empathy. I don't think people talk about this very much, but I think it's super important to have, especially when it comes to the guest and that whole hospitality experience. You have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of a guest. And I mentioned before, but not many people talk about that. And having that empathy towards the patient. I come from healthcare, so I relate the guests. So you have to, if it's even something small, like, hey, this is missing, or the coffee machine is not working, or you have to have that empathy with those specific people, and try to take care of things relatively quick, so that you, again, putting yourself in their shoes. So I think empathy is a big part of hospitality, and something that I feel is important.
Man, that's awesome. I love that. And kind of going along with what Norman said, in order to have empathy, you got to have.
Good morning. Well, it's morning for me here. Good morning, Kyle, everyone. Thanks for having me in the room. My name is John. I'm the founder of Ohana Stay. It's a hospitality brand in Honolulu, Hawaii. And Jesse, empathy was my top one. So thank you for stealing it.
You're welcome.
I actually, when I hire my VAs, I ask them, and the ones that say, you have to have empathy are the ones that I hire. So that's how important that is to me. So on top of since I'm going last, all the good ones were taken. So I will say expert revenue management is a key skill, so that you're actually maximizing your profit and your revenue while you're operating the business. So I'll add that.
That's good. That's really good. Well, I think we've got a clear-cut winner that we want to start talking about first, because two of the members said empathy. So I'll leave the stage open here for either John or Jesse, if you want to, or anyone else that wants to maybe expand on. I love stories, right? So like, let's talk about maybe some stories of where empathy just was so key to you being able to tackle a situation, grow your business, anything at all that comes to mind, guys.
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, I think the big picture, before we get to any stories, and I'm trying to think of specific issues. The big picture is, because we're running into like the same issues all the time, it's very easy for us to say, why are they complaining about this? We already told you the Wi-Fi password, or we already did this, right? But again, as a guest who's there, like if you don't have that, like, you know, that thing that you need right then and there, it can actually like completely ruin their experience. And so, you know, you kind of have to swallow your pride sometimes and tell them the Wi-Fi password 4 times, you know, and just service with a smile, you know. So that's kind of the approach. I think one story that I have, and it's, you know, it wasn't my fault, but like a guest came, they parked, ended up getting towed. And clearly, you know, they parked in the wrong spot, so it's not my fault, right? And I could have just been like, hey, it's your problem. Just, you know, figure it out. Call the towing company. But again, they just arrived, you know, it's their first day there and their car's gone. So, you know, I had to work with the building management to try to get them, you know, help them get the car back. I offered to even like drive with them, you know, so that they can bring the car back. I didn't have to, but it's kind of, and at the end of the day, I got a 5-star review, and I you know, I was positive that I was going to get, you know, a 3 or below review just for the car being towed. So, you know, just kind of understanding where the other side is coming from really helps to kind of tone down your frustration when, you know, similar things that happen over and over to you in your business, you know, happens again. And you just say, okay, if it happened to me for the first time, I can understand I'd be frustrated too.
Yeah, that's really good. One quick thing, Jesse, I know you want to say something. One quick thing that I want to say is, you know, I think when it comes to these guests, like it's not about not having issues. It's about how do you deal with the issues, because issues are going to happen whether you want to or not. It's how you deal with them. And one thing that I'm actually, my girlfriend and I are actually taking a like relationship class that is teaching us better communication. And funny enough, like I see it really working so much in business too. And one of like really easy things to just show empathy and to show that you understand is literally repeat back to the guest what the issue is. So if they say, hey, my car got towed, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to park there, I'm really upset. And you just say, so let me make sure I understand, your car got towed and you're really upset and you didn't know that you weren't supposed to park there. Is that right? Like just by saying that, whether it's in a text or a call or whatever, just shows that you understand. And immediately like that person feels that you have empathy for them. It's not that you have to agree with them. It's not that you have to necessarily like, say like, oh yeah, we're going to fix everything for you. It's just showing that you understand, already puts you on the same team, which I think is really powerful. So anyway, Jesse, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the topic of empathy. So fly in from different areas, or, you know, they're having families. So in the Hispanic culture where I come from, and one of the things that we do is we always give somebody food, like if somebody loses a family member or whatnot. So I will leave a card, a sympathy card, prior to people arriving, and then also offer like, hey, you guys are in town, do you mind if we, you know, order pizza, or, you know, condolence. You know, we understand how difficult it could be. I've lost my dad, you know, a couple of years ago, so I know what that feels like to lose a family member. And so it's, especially your father or mother, it's very important. So I definitely take that empathy through, or I send those kind of well wishes through food or through a, you know, card or whatnot. So.
Man, sorry for your loss. I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, that sucks. It's rough. Definitely nobody really understands losing a parent till you lose a parent. It's like one of those things. It's crazy, but yeah, for sure, man.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think that's a great place to start. Anyone want to say anything else about empathy before we maybe move on to the next one?
Yeah, sure. I have a little thing to add. Yeah, I like me as well. Like I believe that customer is always right, and like no matter what happens, you have to speak to them like they're actually right and they're never wrong. Like for instance, if you're kicking somebody out, if you have to kick somebody out, you have to approach it in a way
that you kind of level with their situation and kind of say that it's not under my control, but like, I'm really sorry I'm doing this. And like pretty much I probably had to kick maybe 8 people out, and every single time nobody has left me a bad review. So that's a good notch on my belt there.
That's good. Neil, can you talk about that? Agree with the guests to get them out, and then they either left you a 5-star review or no review. Was there any like specific thing about that that helped you to be able to get that 5-star review?
Yeah, so generally my go-to solution, you generally have to tell a guest the building's kicking you out or the owner's kicking you out because of noise complaints. Generally, it's not like don't make it your decision, because if you say that I'm kicking you out and it's my decision, then it's almost like they'll try to convince you to stay, right? And just make it so that you're just the messenger and you kind of know what they're kind of going. Friends was out in the building and they stole some mail. So you just go up and say, sorry about this. The building's kicking you out because of your friend. He stole some mail. Here's a picture of it. There's nothing I can do. I'll just wait outside. Just gather your stuff. Take as much time as you need. I'm just going to wait outside here and wait for you to go. And generally, they're super cool, but I've never had anyone who was standoffish against me. Like one time I had to call the cops. Generally, people are really cool about it and they leave.
No, that's good. I really like that. I think too, like if you have 2 people, whether they're VAs or assistants or, you know, business partners, whatever they are, if they're guest communications, having 2 people on that rather than just one, because if then you can literally just pass them off to the other one and they can just say, oh, sorry, you had a bad experience with so-and-so. I'm totally on your side. I'm on your team. Like, let me see what I can do. And it's, you know, good cop, bad cop, right? That's kind of how I feel about it. So that's cool, man. Thanks for sharing that, Neil. All right. Another one that was brought up as we're moving on from empathy, I really liked Majid talked about management, the ability to not only manage good people on a daily basis, because it's going to help you remove yourself from working in your business so that you can work on your business, but also the ability to find those people, right? That's sometimes the toughest thing is, you know, or even finding them and then holding on to them. So I think there's a lot of different ways we can take this, but is there something right off the bat in regards to management or finding good people that comes to mind for any of our moderators?
I'll just share how I find people to work with. Essentially, it's kind of a slow-ish process of, you know, when I run into someone who I think I can work, and I give them a shot at just trying things out. And I'm not only looking for their skill set and the specific thing that I'm looking for, but I'm also looking for kind of their demeanor, their attitude. Are they punctual or not? Are they asking questions or not? And so, you know, I have like a week or 2 trial period of them running some, you know, random things that I need them to do. And this is for the, you know, on-ground staff. And as I get a level of comfort with them, then I start expanding their manager or something, because, you know, they do a good job.
Yeah, same here, John. I love bringing someone in, giving them like 1 or 2 tasks, seeing how they do, and then kind of expanding it from there. You mentioned earlier, John, about, you know, some of your onboarding process with your VAs and how you actually look for them to bring up empathy. I thought that was a really good tip. Is there anything else for VAs that you look?
And a couple things. In the past, I thought having, you know, Airbnb or your short-term rental experience was not important, and that skill can be taught. I've tried that, and it was actually very painful trying to train someone who's not familiar with the space to learn the business. And so I think that skill set is important. I've actually lucked out. I've hired 2 former Airbnb support, like level 3 support people as my VAs, and they are working magic for me. They're getting reviews removed. They're getting past resolutions that were denied, approved. So that's VAs. It's to have them do like some technology things, right? So a Loom video as part of the interview process is something that I absolutely require. And that makes it so that if they're not tech savvy enough to install Loom, that's a red flag. If the video is choppy, then that their internet connection is not strong. So, there are things that you build into the interview process that ferret out things beyond just their skill set. I've interviewed some VAs, and my expectation was that they would be in their work setting so that we could test out their computer speed and everything. And, they were on their cell phone, outside, hanging out on the patio. And just like that combination of everything was like, you just don't have the right attitude to be working with me. So, there's a lot of like little things that you can pick up along the way when you're trying to hire remotely. And I think you have to pick up on all those like subtle cues on the side and not just, fall in love with their background and their skill set.
Love it. That's really good. I think that's got a lot of good points there. And it seems like you probably have done a lot of interviewing to gather that information. But yeah, I mean, right. If you hire a good VA and if you call it, like you said, 2 or 3 interviews, or maybe even a week long of interviews and all these tests, it feels probably like a long process when you're looking for them. But then when you have the right one, you've got the right one. Whereas like I've in the past fired 2 VAs and it just ended up being such a waste of time because you're trying to make someone fit in. You're trying to make a square peg fit into a circle hole for like 2 or 3 months. And then you end up losing so much time doing that. So that's awesome, John. What about Jim? Go ahead.
Let me add one more tip.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the VA. The other tip is when you're training them, this is what I do. I have them create Loom videos for everything that they're learning. And that is a way for me to, 1, see that they understand the process. But 2, more importantly, next time you hire, you have a Loom video ready that you can use to train them. So you don't have to sit there training them again. I did not create this process. There's an amazing operator. Her name is Rebecca Slivka. And she's the one that, taught a lot of people this. But yeah, just have them create Loom videos for everything that they're doing. And then the next person that you're hiring, you just have them watch the Loom video. And it saves you so much time. So I'll shut up now. Thanks.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. Jim, did you have something you wanted to say too?
I was just agreeing with John, and just a small little piggyback tip on the finding VAs who have an Airbnb background. I've found that I know a lot of us are plugged in with some pretty great Facebook groups on STR. Kyle has a great one, and I know a lot of people here in the room do. That typically the higher volume ones have a couple of those former Airbnb or affiliated type VAs who are kind of always posting, looking for work. And there's actually a search button in these Facebook groups, so you can type in different topics or different things. You can type in virtual assistant or virtual assistant Airbnb. And typically, if you have a pretty high level group or a high volume group, you can find some previous threads of some different people looking for work. It kind of helps just kind of fast forward the prospecting process when you're looking for VAs who have an STR background.
That's awesome. Perfect. So now we've talked about finding people. What about keeping people? Does anyone have any strategies for keeping your people on your team or motivated, or just anything that would be helpful for, keeping that core of your entire organization? I'll just share what. Oh no, go ahead, Rafa.
Yeah, man. Okay, I'll speak on that one because that one's pretty big for me. I've had people that have been with me for 4 years now, and one of the biggest things I realized is appreciation. Right, you got to show your appreciation for everything that they do, from the little details to doing the jobs correct and on time and handling things the correct way. Right. I hired a new girl just a couple weeks ago, and she's been killing it for me. I mean, she does everything, and she quickly became a operations side manager. She's had prior experience, so it's funny because I actually worked with this girl back in 4 years ago, but it wasn't direct. It wasn't direct contact with me. I had someone else in place who put her in place, and she didn't like the way things were being handled, and so she left. And so fast forward now, she came back and she's like, hey, I'm looking for work. Can I get another chance? And so I brought her on, and man, she's been killing it. And she, after about, I want to say, it's been, I don't know, 3 months later or something like that. I literally sent her a message and I said, hey, listen, I appreciate all the work you've been doing. You've been killing it out here. I'm going to give you more work. I'm going to give you these tasks. This is what you're going to do going forward. And she's been super happy. She was able to bring in 2 other people into her team because of it. And it all came from appreciation. She actually quit working for the other operators because they didn't take her seriously. They didn't offer her not even a single hey, good job ever in the time that she ever worked on. She worked with these people for 3 years. So I think appreciation is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's so easy too, right? I don't know about you guys, but for me, sometimes I just have really high expectations when I bring people on, and I expect them to do it just as well or better than I do it. Cause that's why I brought them on, right? To save me time. And then you get disappointed that they miss something or that they're not doing something the way that you would do it. And you think about that one bad thing that they've done and end up highlighting that versus the 99 other good things that they've done. And they need to just hear a little bit of affirmation. So that's awesome, Rafa. I'm glad. Does that come naturally to you? Because that's something for me, I just really have to always really pay attention to and be all right, have I told this person I appreciate them recently? Because if I haven't, I need to make it a point to do that.
At first it wasn't strict, and I'm very to the point, and I have very hard expectations of things that I want. And they get upset because sometimes it is a little demanding. But at the same time, it took me a lot. So no, it didn't come naturally. It took me a long time. And because of that, it took me a long time to learn it. And after working with people for quite a while and being in the customer service industry and the hospitality industry, I realized, okay, you gotta punish when it's time to punish, and you gotta appreciate when it's time to appreciate. For example, she's made mistakes, right? She's made numerous mistakes, right? The first couple of mistakes, did I set the expectation correctly? No, I didn't set the expectation correctly. That mistake's my fault, right? There was an issue that happened, and I didn't set that expectation, and I didn't set the standard of how that should have been handled. Therefore, that mistake is my fault. I can't blame it on her. So it was a simple, hey, don't worry, mistakes happen. This is how I want it to be handled going forward. Please take note of it so it doesn't happen again, right? If the mistake happens again, the expectation's been set. Now it's no longer my fault. It's that person's fault. But the second time that the issue arises, it was handled properly. And it's a simple, hey, great job. I appreciate you actually paying attention to what you did. It was awesome. You handled it correctly. The guest is just, one of those guests who likes to complain. We get those all the time. Don't worry about it. You did good. Let's just move on from it. And that was it, right? And she's like, so we had a cleaning issue, but it wasn't her fault. And so she's over here beating herself up about it. Dude, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I'm so mad at myself. I said, hey, it's not a big deal. You have a lot going on. I appreciate it. You handled it the way it was supposed to be handled. Let's just move on from it. Just make sure it doesn't happen again. And she's like, man, I really love that you appreciate the work that I do. Thank you. It won't happen again. And because of that, I haven't had a single issue happen ever after that. And the communication part of it, it's cut down on mistakes drastically. And it took a long, long time to learn, right? At first, I would be like, no, I used to be like, you know what? It's your fault. You screwed up. Take care of it. And there was no appreciation from my side. It was more of it's always you. You're the person who did it. You messed it up. Go fix it. And again, it was one of those things where I slowly had to develop, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think the book that comes to mind for me on that one is Extreme Ownership, where, you literally have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is my fault, and find out how it's my fault, take ownership, and then share with the team, okay, this is my fault, but here's what I expect moving forward. So I love that advice, man. So for those of you that are just joining us, good time to reset the room. Ping some people in. We'd love to see more people joining in the group. 2 weeks ago, we almost had 100 people. Would love to be joining back up or getting back to those numbers. Raise your hand if you've got questions. But so far, we've talked about 2 of the top 5 skills. The first one was empathy, which was really interesting. And then right now we're talking about kind of the overall theme of, you can call it management, you can call it leadership, recruiting new people, finding new people, and how to hold those people. I think it's just overall, a people skill is really what we're talking about. So what about, bonusing or incentivizing people in order to maybe not necessarily stay with you, maybe stay with you, but at least to, get them to be, working even harder for you? Does anyone use bonuses, incentives, anything like that?
Yeah, I do. With our cleaners, we typically split the resolution payout if they find something and report it to us. So, for example, we've had somebody report that our futon was broken, and so we were able to get a new one via the resolution payout, and we gave them a portion of that payout as a thank you.
Yeah, likewise, I was going to say incentives matter, and that goes for everyone involved, whether it's people on your team or the guests, and that over time, if I feel like somebody's done a really good job, in addition, hugs, symbolic hugs of telling them good work or this or that if they've been with me for a while, I'll, increase their pay a period of time where I feel like they've done a really good job.
Hey, Kyle. Kat, that was good. I piggyback on that as well. I have weekly meetings with my team. Every Monday, we go over last week's reviews. We break things down into numbers, what they look like, and ratings and cleanliness and things like that. So if there's good cleanliness in the month, and if we do well, I give them bonuses, and that could be, if $100, it could be even more than that. I give Christmas bonuses, things of that nature. And then we also, like, some of the cleaners that are staying at some of our really nice, or that clean the really nice properties, we offer them a night, like, hey, you want to hang out with your family here for the weekend, pick a date. Usually it's a weekday. So they'll be able to hang out, in a really nice place for basically free. They are cleaning it though afterwards, but that's part of the incentive that we do. I don't know if you guys do that, but the cleaning crews definitely love it.
Yeah, can I jump in? So I do similar to Jesse. So I actually, so I don't incentivize every single one of my cleaners. I incentivize the person who's in charge of the cleaners, and then they incentivize everybody else. I allow them to use my units whenever they want. There's no no, you can't use it. If you want to use it, feel free to use it. You have family, feel free to use it. As long as the unit's not booked, it's all yours, right? There's a thing that I tell them though, if the only time that I require them to let me know if they're going to use it is if they have someone coming in in a couple months in advance, where I absolutely have to block the calendar. But there's been a lot of times where they're like, hey, they'll call me right away and hey, is the unit available for this weekend? Or do you have something open on Tuesday? I have family members coming in. If I do, they can use the unit for free. They're my cleaning staff, right? They know they got to clean it anyway. So yeah, use it for free as long as you clean the apartment, take care of it. You know what to do. It's yours. That's one of the things I do. I give everybody some kind of gift for Christmas as well. As far as like Norman was saying, so I actually don't share the resolution payouts, but what I do is I pay them for everything that I know I can get from a resolution payout. So, for example, even for a smoking fee, they get a $50 payout for it because they have to do little extra work to remove the smoke air, the airing thing, run an ozone machine, things of that nature. If there's a lot of dog hairs, if the dogs came in, they get an extra bump in pay, things like that. But other than that, it's just usually for Christmas. I am going to switch to the model where. Because I did it for a while and I stopped when I got new cleaners, and I kind of want to go back to it where if they do a good job, they get like if I get a 5-star review, they'll get like a $10, $15 bonus to keep them happy and keep them going, things like that. I've done it before. I just haven't done it recently.
Yeah. So going off of that, Rafa, one of the reasons that we hadn't done that is because, with 35 units, looking at every single review and trying to figure out which cleaner was there, like that felt like a lot, but that's just for our business. But I guess that leads me to a question that I want to ask for Jesse as a follow-up. Are you incentivizing your cleaners individually, or did I hear that you're doing that as a team?
No, it's individually. So depending, you kind of have your head cleaner that kind of takes over. So like one property, I know that one of my cleaners is taking accountability on that. So sometimes I'll give her a little bit more, but I definitely will give every single team member a pay. I got to keep them motivated. I come from management. So just so you guys know, like if you have to kind of paint a picture to people, they have to see the grand scheme of things. So like when I talk to my cleaning crews, I always give them a vision of what we are going to be, not necessarily just what we are now. So I think that's really important that your team members can look and see what the successes of you, your company, and where your vision, where it's going. They have to be able to buy into that. They have to see that. They have to feel it. It has to resonate on multiple different levels, emotional, and to their work. To look at, when you're building your business, and that's being one of them as far as, creating a vision.
Yeah, they say there's two major things that really motivate people. Number one is progress, and number two is being a part of something that's bigger than themselves. So I think vision, the conversation we're always having with people is here's where we are, here's where we were, and here's where we're going. So I love that, Jesse. Just being fully transparent. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're always trying new things in our business. So we're going to be trying here starting next is. Number one, the reason I did is because being a former athlete, when we won together, we won together. When we lost together, we lost together. It didn't matter if one of the players on the team had 5 hits and 2 home runs. If we lost, they shouldn't be celebrating. And so, but on the flip side, if they went 0 for 5 and, had 3 strikeouts, but the team won, they should be celebrating. And so for that, we're kind of taking that same mindset to our cleaners. And we're saying, hey, if we have at least 90% 5-star ratings on cleanings from month to month, every single cleaner in our organization is going to get $100 bonus. And we've got a couple of caveats to that. Like they have to, actually have, shown up to their cleanings and not miss their cleanings to be able to be a part of that as well. But I kind of like the team feeling of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to have all the cleaners in a WhatsApp message. And we're going to be going and basically like celebrating 5-star cleaning. So when there's a 5-star cleaning that comes in, hey, Melanie had a 5-star cleaning, everyone, say great job, Melanie. And so we're going to start doing that as a team. I'm really interested to see how that's going. But mainly I wanted to, and we're also going to have a most valuable cleaner in MVC. So the best cleaner out of the group gets an even bigger bonus for the month, but we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys updated with that. But I like that, because it doesn't make us feel like we have to check every single review and pay out a cleaner on certain ones. I feel like I would probably lose a lot of tracking on that. And number two, I kind of think that maybe it'll get that team mindset going. But has anyone tried that? Has anyone had good success with that or found that to not work? Just interested from any model. Really cool. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one. So we talked about empathy, we talked about management. And by the way, if you have any questions or if you have additional ones that you want to add on, please raise your hand and let us know. I would like to bring up the idea of sales. That gross word, sales, right? Let's do a little tester of the room. Got 2 people, 3, 4. Okay, 5. Okay, so 5 of the 7 say that it is important. So that's okay. 6 of the 7. Rafa's the only one. Rafa, you don't think sales is important? I want to hear why. Unless Rafa's maybe just not listening. There he is.
No, I do. Sorry, my hands were wet.
Okay,
yes,
cool. Okay, so 7 of the 7. Perfect. Now let's talk about this word sales, because it can have a really negative connotation, right? So what does sales mean to you, either overall or in this business? Someone want to take a shot at that?
I mean, for me, I think that sales is inextricably intertwined with the marketing and getting it out, getting the word out, and getting people excited to come. So when I'm thinking of sales, that's kind of what I'm thinking of at the fore, is what message, what brand am I putting out there, and how am I getting people excited so that they want to buy what I have to sell.
And Kat, are you talking, when you say buy what you have to sell, are you talking about from a host to a guest, or is that trying to attract new landlords? Jim?
Yep. And I would say, in addition to Kat, like, so important to be able to sell to the guests, but also I think for a lot of the managers and co-hosts out there, being able to sell the idea of, hey, we really feel like this house or rental can optimize on a short-term basis as opposed to a long-term basis. So I'd say if I were to take a snapshot of the most of my kind of quote-unquote sales-oriented conversations or dialogues or threads, almost all of it would be toward me talking to the homeowners and just really trying to convince them and having them really kind of turn that corner mentally as far as looking at this as a part of their portfolio on a short-term basis as opposed to the long-term basis. And definitely it's, there's a lot of sales that goes into that. But like you said, Kyle, there is a bit of a negative connotation that goes into that word sales, but it's really just kind of getting them converted,
Yeah, Rafa, did you want to say something about that too? I saw you unmute yourself.
Yeah, I do. So I think the entire business is sales, right? From the moment you sell a landlord to the moment you sell your night, right? We're selling nights, guys. Remember that? And I mean, what is sales, right? You're offering a product or a service, and someone's in exchange for something else, right? Currency. And so I think that sales is huge in this business, because if you can't sell your product, you're not going to be successful. If you can't sell the idea, you're not going to start the business, right? I don't know. That's just kind of my 2 cents. I can go deeper into it, but I have running water over here, so I got to stop for a second.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I think there's two different kinds of sales, right? The cold sale, which really is uncomfortable, no matter how good you are. Like, for me, even if I'm going to go talk to a landlord about arbitrage or co-hosting today, if I don't have a relationship or if I don't have someone that's referred me to them, I can know everything about this business, but it still isn't the most comfortable thing. But I mean, through discomfort is where we grow, right? So that's not a bad thing. But at the same time, I would love to have a warm lead sent my way, or to pursue someone that I know fits the bill for my perfect landlord avatar that I already know. And one of my students, Michael Butler, he actually has a couple of these where he did, by the way, he has 2 Airbnbs and he got them back in December, and they both netted him a total of $6,000 this last month. Crazy to see how well he's doing with just 2 units. But he got those 2 units from warm leads, from people that he knew already. And so to me, like, if you have that relationship, the toughest thing about a sale is trust. That is the toughest place to be, to get yourself to a place of trust. And so with a cold sale, someone, let's just say, for example, that you look up on HotPads or Zillow or, Facebook Marketplace, things like that, and you go pitch to them, you have to rely on your ability to build trust in, call it 5 to 10 minutes before you actually pitch the idea of arbitrage or co-hosting. But that person that that maybe owns 5 houses and they're a full-time lawyer or doctor, and they don't like having to check in with tenants, and they're too, let's say, call it frugal to, hire out a management company. Well, you could literally come in and be a great solution for them. And you already have that trust with them because you know them. Maybe they are your lawyer. Maybe they are your doctor. Maybe they are your dentist. And that's such an easier place to come from. So to me, like, go for the warm ones. And if you don't think that you have people in your network, I bet you just haven't looked deep enough. Every single person knows 250 people by first name. That's the averages. And so if you know 250 people by first name, then they know 250 people by first name. So To me, it's just trying to find that warm lead and just asking every person you know, do you know someone that owns a house that is a tired landlord? Like, that's exactly where I would suggest starting the conversation, because if you can ask that question, you get that lead from either that person or from someone that they might know. Anyone else want to add to sales? Don't be shy, guys. This is a big topic. I know there's more to say. Jesse.
Well, I was on a call. I just jumped back and I missed it. What was the sales discussion? My bad. I'm sorry, man.
No, yeah, you're good. You're good. I saw that phone icon pop up for you. We're just talking about, sales isn't needed in this business, and how can we get past the fear of sales? If there's people in the audience right now that are like, well, I'm not a salesperson. I don't know how to be good at sales. How do we get past that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is essential with growth. You have to get good at knocking on doors. There's no way around it unless you hire somebody that's going to do sales for you. But for me, one of the most important pieces of all, the STR is connecting with real estate agents. And I didn't realize how important networking is until you start doing it. So there's BNI groups in every single city that people live in that you guys all could be a part of. So just type in BNI in whatever city you are in, and there's a network of business owners, and you're able to connect with these people. And just like Kyle was talking about a second ago, you have to be able to connect with people. You have to talk about your business, why you're doing it, what you're actually doing. And just like Kyle was saying, somebody's going to know somebody that may particularly need your help. And that's where you want to make sure you connect. And I think going back, my whole job is about, sales. But I think it's so important to really learn that aspect of this business. It's going to help you generate leads. It's going to help you create sustainable relationships that, one lead might turn into 3, and then to 5. And then those 5 leads that you have already, they may give you a home or a rental property, and then they'll give you another one and another one and another one as you continue to show them that you're able to do well. So absolutely important in this line of work. I mean, there's no way around it in my eyes.
Now, I was going to add, I think that like when you think of, when somebody says sales, and like you said, oh, it's such this like icky feeling that comes over people of like, thinking of like the traveling salesperson with a vacuum cleaner or whatever, dinner, or, sell your kid on, this is a really great reason to do your homework tonight. You're always persuading people to do something that you want them to do for one reason or another. And so if you think about that and begin to tap in or notice like how you're actually doing this all the time, and get comfortable with that, it can kind of take some of the edge off of this feeling that you're doing something slimy, because you're not. You're just, you're trying to persuade someone else to do something that you need. And a lot of times it's in relationship to something that you're going to provide them as well. So it's not, this doesn't have to be this slimy, gross thing that everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah, you're so right. And, one thing that helped me a lot early in my career, Dale Carnegie, you guys can check out a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's such an important book because it talks about, being able to have, relationships with people and, persuading people in a way. And when you're passionate about something, trust me, people can hear it. You don't even necessarily have to be in front of them for them to see your face. It's just speaking to them over the phone. They can hear that. So I think that's so important, to be able to learn how to do things. But check out that book when you guys get a chance. Dale Carnegie. This book was written in in the 50s, I believe. And it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Check that out.
Yeah. And
it's funny.
Go ahead, Rafa.
No, I was going to say, it's funny, Jesse, that you bring that up. I have it on audiobook, and I listen to it at least once every 3 to 4 months. That same book. It's such a good book. And I also wanted to touch on what Kat said, right? It's true. Like, I think it was you, Kat, who was saying, like, sales isn't just like me selling, a piece of chocolate to someone. It's selling ideas, thoughts, things that benefit everybody, right? Again, like, I even sometimes have to tell my dog that he has to eat specific things, right? Like by convincing him. And it's like, it goes down to a lot to the basics of like communication, right? Customer service, all of that's so important because it ties in together into sales as well. Just wanted to say that as well.
Yeah. And part of that too, right? Like Rafa and Kat, you guys are saying it without actually saying it, but a good sale is a win-win. It's where the customer wins and the salesperson wins. And then even in this situation where the guest wins as well. And I think that's, guys, why like my business has mainly become co-hosting, is because a lot of homeowners will come to me and say, well, what's better for you? Do you want to arbitrage my place or do you want to co-host? And I ask them that same question. I say, it's not really about what I want. It's about what you want. I win either way. I'm going to make money either way, but what's more of a win for you? And we go over those options of like, here's the benefits and the cons of arbitrage for you, and here's the benefits and the cons of co-hosting for you. Which one seems like, because the owners see that they're going to get a great return, they end up having the co-hosting is what they choose. But I sleep better at night too, knowing that like I didn't convince them to do one way or another and feel like slimy. You know, I know that I'm going to have a great long lasting relationship with that person because I gave them choices and they made the decision. And at the end of the day, we all win. So I see, sorry, go ahead, Rafa.
No, sorry, I accidentally, I was clapping. Win-win is huge on the sales part.
Yep. Cool. I see we've got a couple newer people on stage. I want to give them a chance to introduce themselves. So Kat, heard from you, but we did not get an intro from you. Would love to hear a little bit about you. Just quick 10 to 15 seconds if you can.
Sure. My name is Kat Davis. I'm actually a trauma therapist by day and an Airbnb by night. Just fell in love with it when I got a property a couple years ago. And so, yeah, I'm new to Clubhouse and new to the Airbnb field, but I love it. And that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Kat. Deanna.
Good morning. This is Dina Steele. I'm in beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. And I own a few, I arbitrage a few, but mostly I do property management for others. So I did want to just say a little blurb about my sales process. Pretty passive. So for anybody out there that is uncomfortable, approaching people and cold calling, I find that my passive approach has really worked. I build the platform like my website. Google My Business brings me a ton of traffic. Instagram is really good for me. And then I love how Rafa said he has to convince his dog. I think it was Rafa who said he has to convince his dog to eat. I find that same enthusiasm that you say to a dog, like, here's your dinner, is the same enthusiasm that helps me sell in a phone conversation or a one-on-one conversation with a client inquiry. So I'm not very aggressive. I don't go out there. I don't cold call. I just tell people what I do with enthusiasm, and I find that naturally brings a ton of inquiries, and I close on those sales with that enthusiasm. So you can do it if you're uncomfortable doing cold calls. You can do it passively like me.
That's awesome. I think what we're learning from everyone here in any of these attributes is if you don't have it yourself, you can either automate it or you can pass it off to someone else. But I love that Dina, I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name the first time. Dina is doing a great job of making it passive and putting it online so that, warmer leads are coming right to her rather than her having to go chase them. That's awesome, Dina. Kenya.
Hey, Kyle, thanks for bringing me up. Rafa, thanks for bringing me up and allowing me to come to the stage. So my name's Kenya. I'm a short-term rental investor. I have properties in Charlotte, North Carolina. And as far as the sales side of things, I consider myself an introvert, although some people don't believe it when they meet me. I'm comfortable speaking about certain things like sports, short-term rentals, things, being a salesperson. But when it comes to approaching homeowners, landlords, that type of thing, when it comes to short-term rentals, I do some cold calling per se, but I also can get a warm lead by first sending an email, like just saying something really generic, really like basic about their property, like, oh, lovely home, I'd love to take a tour type of thing. And it becomes a warm lead because then they respond back to me and they say something and we kind of like chit chat before I go out and see the property. So I don't just cold call and just pitch, them an idea of what I want to do with their property. I don't do that. I'm not comfortable enough to do that. But I know how to kind of chit chat with a person via phone or in person, have,
Ooh, Kenya, I think we're losing you.
conversation.
Oh, yep, we lost Kenya. That's okay. Good time to reset the room. We're in hour 2 now here of the STR lunch break. We're talking about the 5 top skills to develop for a Airbnb or short-term rentals business. We're also doing this live on my YouTube channel, The Fearless Investor. And if you have any questions, we're on hour 2 now. If you have any questions, whether you're listening on Clubhouse or watching on YouTube, but we've got 3 skills down, 2 more to go, and then some time for questions. So I want to ask the group, because I've got 5 more written down here, either from ones that I had written before we started or from ones that came up when we were talking to the group, or getting introductions from the moderators, I should say, in the beginning here. So let's get a vote going on 3 of these that I think could be a close tie for if they are going to make the top 5. So moderators and people up on stage, get ready to flash your mics for your vote. It's going to be these 3. So don't start flashing your mics yet. I'm going to give you the 3, and I'm going to ask you which ones you think which one you think should make number 4 here on the list. So the idea of crisis or adaptability, crisis management and adaptability, that was one. Organization was another. And then start flashing your mic. Here we got 1 person. All right. Then next was organization, the ability to stay organized. Anyone? Okay. We got Dina, and then revenue management. All right. Yeah, looks like revenue management might be the winner here. So for one of you that flashed revenue management, do you want to talk about that for a second?
I don't know if I had a poor connection before, but I feel like revenue management is important because you want to learn that skill. It's essential with running like a hospitality, short-term rental type of business, corporate rentals, whatever you want to term it. So I feel like it's very important to understand that aspect, how to run your numbers, how to, definitely buy at the right price, whether you buy the property, you do rental arbitrage, and definitely, if you can, not pay market rent for the property, and that helps you out too. But you want to learn how to maximize occupancy.
And obviously, P&L is one of the most important things in starting any business. And as you scale, you need to make sure that you have your finances in order, because the bank are going to want to see that, especially as you grow, and that's what keeps you alive. And overhead costs and things of that nature. So you have to make sure that you know exactly what's coming in and what's coming out. And that's going to help you scale, grow, cut costs, expenditures, whatnot. So it's the foundation to me. I think it's super important.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think a big like aha moment in my business in regards to revenue management was just educating yourself on how to even price your places, right? Like, to me, we're playing this game of Monopoly. We're either adding houses or we're adding value to our units by turning them from, 1 house on the same street to 2 houses, turning into an apartment, turning into a motel, that kind of thing. So a big moment in my business was like, I remember the first Airbnb I got, it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I was stoked about getting $100 per night. I just couldn't believe I was getting $100 per night. And then on weekends, I was sometimes getting like $115 a night. And then I realized, wait, I could turn one of these second living rooms into another bedroom, and maybe that would add some value to the house. I was right. It turned it into, now like $130 to $140 per night. But then I started really doing research and seeing all these other 4-bedroom places in the area getting like $175 per night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm underpricing my stuff majorly. And now That same house that when I first got it was getting $100 to $115 a night is now getting $160 to $190 per night. And, did some of that have to do with reviews? Absolutely. So building up reviews was a big thing, but even just the awareness, or, gosh, when we talk about awareness, just even knowing and understanding that you have an opportunity here in this business to be able to build a business, and to be able to systematize things, to be able to scale this. And like, I wasn't aware of that in the beginning. So I think awareness in your revenue management and understanding like what to even price your places at can help grow your business, rather than having to think about, how do I get the next deal? How do I get the next unit? You always want to be doing that, but also, how do I increase the value of my place to be able to increase the revenue, and not have to work harder, but work smarter? Anyone have any experience on that? All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on then to, Jesse, one thing I wanted to ask you, revenue management, you talked about P&Ls, especially for yourself and for owners. What do those look like for you? Like, can we get just a visual of that?
Yeah. So profit and loss is what your P&L means. Profit and loss for all those of you who are listening, who are like, what the hell is P&L? So it's profit and loss. So I'll kind of break down the property. One of my houses in Modesto. So my mortgage is about $1,700. My expenses on that property, which are like toilet paper, all the essentials and electricity, is probably, I'd probably say about $700. So what is that, Kyle? You got that 18 plus 17? What is that, 20, 23, 2,400? I usually will bring in on that property $5,500. So I was just looking at this last night. So $5,500 on that place per month. So now everybody's going to be opening up Airbnbs in Modesto. So that means my profit on that place is right around $2,600, $2,700 a month just on one place. So I mean, that's those are just the simple numbers. If I'm breaking it down like that, Kyle.
Yeah, and knowing those numbers and having them written down somewhere, like that was why at the beginning of the year I actually offloaded a couple properties, because it was obvious that, hey, this one's just not performing where I need it to stay in my portfolio, where like other ones, it's like, yeah, these are way more worth our time. So I think that's so important. It's not just throwing something up on Airbnb and being like, cool, I'm making money. It's also saying, hey, let's look at the numbers and see, like, are our resources going towards something that's making us a great return, or something that's barely making us a return? And how can we use those same resources to apply them towards something that is going to continue to make us that great return we're looking for? Because it takes the exact same number of people and resources typically to do, called a place that's making you $2,000 a month to a place that's making you $5,000 a month. So where would you rather have your resources going? I think that's the big thing to look at. So we got a couple people on stage before we get to the fifth and final skill here. Looks like we got some questions. So start off with David. You have a question for us? Earth to David, are you there? Looks like he's not there. Megan, you have a question?
I do. I was wondering what kind of software you would recommend for if you only have 1 to 2 properties to start out. What is the best kind of software you use to track everything? Yeah, just keeping all the numbers kind of clear, especially for your accountant at the end of the year, for if you separate properties for your P&Ls.
QuickBooks, easiest, cheapest. You can plug it in yourself, especially if you have less than a couple properties.
Awesome,
IGMS,
thank you.
Yeah, IGMS helps out too, because it breaks down, especially if you have multiple different properties, different owners. And then QuickBooks, integrates with your checking account. And then you can actually, QuickBooks, you could pay them, I think, like $50, and they will go through and audit everything for you every month. And then I think Eris is down in the bottom. If you guys look at Eris Beth down there, she actually is an accountant. and she is fantastic. So if you need somebody to do your books, she's down there. She can help out and maybe even answer any questions that are needed in that aspect. So Megan, let me know if there's any other questions you may have, and hopefully that helped.
Awesome, thank you. I actually just I'm taking a look as you're speaking, and it's pretty thorough. It answers everything that I was looking for.
Sweet. Okay, cool.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Megan. All right. Well, I think it's time to get to our fifth and final skill that you need. So let's do a recap of what we had so far. So the first one we talked about was empathy, being able, and we kind of partnered that with patience, being able to show empathy and to side with the guest and to show them that we understand their situation. Neil had talked about, the guest is always right, and how that can be tough, especially when you see that a guest is obviously wrong and having to, try to find a win-win. The next was management, also leadership, how to find good people, how to hold on to them, how to incentivize them was a topic. Number 3 was sales and how that kind of works in with networking as well, and how it doesn't have to necessarily be a cold sale. It can be a warm sale. It can be built on trust. It can be a sale from you to the co-host or to the owner, to the landlord, or it can be a sale from you to your potential guest, and how to build, how to increase revenue, how to track revenue, how to know that money is going towards the right things, important for any business, right? And so the last one, I've got another vote that I would like to do with our moderators. So Jim, Jesse, Rafa, and Neil, get ready to flash those mics again. It's going to be between these two. Is our number 5 skill going to be either resourcefulness or process implementation? So that's a tough one, right? I feel like both are really, really important. So get ready to vote here. Who wants resourcefulness? Flash your mic if you think resourcefulness needs to be in the top 5. Jim, Neil, and then, okay, Jesse and Rafa, does that mean that you guys want process implementation? Flash your mic if you want that. Okay, so it's 2-2, which means that I am the deciding vote. Guys, you know how much I love processes and systems, but I think at the end of the day, your ability to be resourceful is way more beneficial than anything. And here is, so resourcefulness is our number 5 skill. And here's my 2 cents on that. You don't need the resources. You just need the ability to find the resources. And that's what resourcefulness is all about. And I think that feeds into process implementation, and it feeds into so many different things. It feeds into sales. It feeds into management. It feeds into revenue management. You don't need to know everything. You just need to have the problem-solving mindset of, okay, I don't have the resource, but how can I go find the resource? How can I find that person? How can I find that technology? How can I find that thing that will allow me to take stress off my business, to stop working in it and start working more on it? So Jesse and Rafa, I know you guys did not vote for that one. So if you have contradicting thoughts, I'd love to hear. And then for Jim and Neil, you guys did say resourcefulness. So if anyone wants to put in their 2 cents.
I just want to say you convinced me. I'm up my resources now.
So I sold you on it, huh?
Kyle, man, it's standard operating procedures is super important. This is my business brain going in. Resources that, they're great and everything. That you need them to grow, but those SOPs, that's like part of when you're creating a business plan. That's the beginning chapter of where you're at. That's like page 2, man.
Neil?
Yeah, for me, resourcefulness is really important. Like, for instance, like being friends with the concierge guy in the building, he's going to tell you if somebody booked a place and there's 5 guys coming in the place, right? Or having a good relationship. I'm only a phone call away, and I'll shut everything down within 5 minutes if you let me know, kind of thing, right? and also the building managers and the concierge have security camera access, right? They'll tell you if anything's awry, so you can just nip a problem in the butt before it becomes a big issue, right? If somebody is throwing a party at 3 a.m., you're going to have a lot of people in the building really pissed off. But if you shut it down at 9 p.m., it's not as big of a deal, right? So just knowing what resources you have and I guess emergency management kind of thing, and just kind of knowing how to take care of problems before they happen.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So Jesse, I want to talk about what you just said there. So 100% process implementation. I wanted that in the top 5 before a couple of the other ones, but we had so many good options to pick from. But here's what I want to say about process implementation. So I thought I had a good product. They were a resource of mine, and they knew about a technology, which was another resource that was going to make my process even stronger on that. So it was by knowing this guy who led me to, as you guys probably all know, SmartBnB, telling me about SmartBnB and how that could improve not only my processes with my cleaners, but also improve my processes with my guests. It was the ability to be resourceful, to find the resources that made the processes and the systems even stronger. So I think they both have this direct tie, but if I didn't have the ability to be resourceful, I'm not sure how much longer it would have even taken me to find that process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, and I agree with it. Sure, I think that as you start something, those resources will eventually come. I think I was looking at it from a different perspective of starting off, and again, this is really my business brain. The SOPs being so important as far as the structure of a business, and I'm talking about from the beginning. So I think maybe that's where I maybe messed that up. But Kyle, if that makes sense, man, I hope it does.
No messing up, man. There's none of these are right. We're not saying that these absolute 5. I think there's so many different things that we haven't even talked about, right?
You're right. We haven't talked about you being an athlete, man. Were you a baseball player or what?
I was a baseball player. Yeah.
Me too, man. Did you play at Fresno? Or where'd you play
Yeah. I played at Clovis West High School, dude.
Nice, man. Any former baseball players here come up to the stage? What'd you play? Let me guess what you played. You played center.
You got it. Center field and pitcher.
I knew it.
We got someone raising their hand right now. Throw them up on stage.
Another baseball player.
Probably. Let's see. We got the Harbor Estates. I'm sure you got a name there, brother.
Yep. Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my car right now. I'm outside. I'm actually at work. I assisting with doing some COVID vaccine, so I'm a little bit out of my normal element when I'm on here. But my name is Marvin, and I just kind of wanted to speak to one of the things you talked about earlier was around keeping people, and I think so. The conversation was somewhat about staff. I've actually had this issue for some time. And I found, unfortunately, the compensation model doesn't really tend to help with retention, unfortunately. I pay my cleaners starting off at $15 per hour, and I incentivize through claims and things like that. I've tried that approach. I'm not saying that it can't work. It just hasn't really worked for me. One of the things I've been, and I think it was maybe Jesse who, or Rafa, one of the two that mentioned this earlier, maybe someone else, but was saying you just kind of preach the culture to them. So telling them, reminding them of this is where we are, but this is where we want to be. So I'm trying to implement that more. Like I said, however, I have pretty much about 100% turnover rate, unfortunately. And then I wouldn't necessarily allow my staff to stay in my units. Just because I would be more so afraid of, or I would be very picky of which ones I did.
because I would just be more so afraid of losses as far as, things being damaged or ruined. And now that could, potentially kind of mess up a relationship. Honestly, I don't even like renting out to my friends just for that.
Perfect. You're muted. Marvin, one of the things, man, I think that a lot of people forget to do this is when you have staff, pull them aside and ask them what their why is, what they want to do. I mean, are they motivated by money? It sounds like your employees probably aren't motivated by money. And a lot of people aren't. So I think that's such an important piece when you're growing a business. And again, I've been in management for a long time. I managed a ton of people. And you really have to pull people aside sometimes and find out what their why is, what motivates them, and what gets them going, what gets them out of bed in the morning. And it might be like, they want to move up and get into management. They want to have something, they want to be into a different part of the company. They want to go into the concierge part of the company. So I think that breaks things down and they start to understand, the employees that you have will start to understand that you're not just another employee, or they're not just another employee. They have other avenues, and you're actually paying attention or listening to them. Not that you're not doing that, but I think that as you start scaling and growing and you look at management as a whole, it's just such an important piece of employee retention and finding out what it is that motivates them.
Yeah. And, you probably all have heard of the love languages. By the way, that works for your employees too. And the people that are on your team. What are the 5? It's gifts, touch. Probably not going to do that one with your employees. So maybe the 4 words for that. The 4 love languages. And then quality time, so which of those 4 does your employee want the most? And if you can figure that out, that goes beyond price or beyond what they're making, right? If you know that your employee is a words of affirmation employee or team member, then every single time they do a great job, every single time they do a cleaning, hey, you killed that cleaning, great job, appreciate you being on the team. If they are gifts or acts of services, being able to send them a gift card for doing a great job, or maybe even, money would be that gift. Maybe it's even, acts of services, I always have a tough time with when it comes to employees, but I think just even showing, maybe even writing them a card and showing that you actually did something and took the time to do it. And of course, with quality time, just maybe even making that phone call to them every once in a while. Hey, how are you enjoying the job? Is there anything I can do to make it easier for you? Tell me about, the struggles that you have on a daily basis with this. Tell me about the things that you love about this job. Just showing that time that you care. I think any of those 4 can go beyond just paying them really well if you can identify that. And there's tests out there. I think you said your name was Marvin. I think, Marvin, there's tests out there. You could literally send to your entire cleaners and staff and say, hey, do me a favor, take 5 minutes. This is in an effort for me to get to know you more and see how I can add more value to you on a daily basis.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. No, that's great. And I think moving forward, I'm going to start asking staff, what is it that they want to get out of this, other than money, or maybe it is money, whatever it is. Finding out what is it that drives them is going to want to keep them coming and doing the work. So I appreciate that.
Kyle, I like what you said about the reaching out part. Our team recently implemented this as a part of our payouts, is just do a monthly pulse check here. What are the pain points? It just kind of gives them an outlet, in addition to, those personal conversations that you're having, just kind of letting them know, hey, we're always trying to get better tomorrow than we are right now. And, how can you help us grow and how can we help you grow, type of thing.
So there was a study that was done at a office, and I know we're doing a lot more of, at home and independent workers. So there's not as many office settings these days, but there was a study that was done in an office of about, I think it was 100 employees, and they wanted to see if lighting would make a difference in the productivity of the employees. They all had office desk jobs, and they went in and they changed the lighting. They turned it up a little bit. And then a month later, they turned it down a little bit. And then they actually replaced with LED lighting or lighting. And then, all these different types of things they tried. And what they noticed when they looked at the results, they saw, okay, productivity went up when they increased the lighting. And then when they decreased the lighting, productivity went up again. And then when they changed to LED lighting, productivity went up again. And what they discovered in the whole thing was it didn't matter that the lighting had nothing to do with productivity. It was the fact that the company was taking the time to cater to something so small for these employees, that they cared so much about lighting that it showed the employees that the company cared about what work environment the employees were in, that every single one of them started producing more. And so this thing about, just caring in general, I think is so it's undervalued in regards to like something that we just kind of brush over, like, oh, go show them that you care. Yeah, of course I'm gonna show them they care, but are you actually showing them that you care? I struggle with this all the time. So I have to always remind myself, like, okay, how can I show my teammates that I appreciate them, that I care about them? And that's something I have to remind myself all the time. But yeah, Marvin, thanks for the question, man. Do you have any other questions in regards to that?
I do, Kyle, since we're going to go down, maybe we can go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So Myers-Briggs, there's 16 different personalities. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. When you guys get a chance, go online, go to Google and type in personality test, Myers-Briggs, and just take, I don't know, it's a 7-minute test probably. And there's a bunch of different personality types. Like I said, there's 16. So you can kind of figure out, some of the companies that I worked for, we used to do these tests when we hired. We wanted to know what type of people were coming on. A lot of it, we're coming onto our on our sales force or on our company. So we would implement these things, and you could tell a lot about an individual by just taking that test, whether the introverts, extroverts, if they feel by intuition, if it's thinking, feeling, judging, perceiving, all those different things. So sorry, I'm kind of geeking out. And Kat left. I think she was a therapist. Like, we could have probably had her speak on this, but this is another subject for another day, I suppose.
Sorry, Kyle. My phone was locked and the mic was muted, so it took me a while to get back to it. But no, that was my only question, and I guess more so of a comment. I live and die by standard SOPs. I actually, they sound weird, but I even kind of have SOPs in like just my daily personal life. So as I'm by trade, I'm a biomedical engineer, but basically, all my career has been like, data driven, researching the facts and, analytical and just proving things through science, so kind of how my brain naturally works. And I have SOPs for everything. I live and die by them. So I just said that because I know that was mentioned earlier. And I'm Marvin, and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Someone actually asked on the YouTube channel, as well as we are broadcasting this live, what is an SOP? An SOP is a standard operating procedure. So basically just something that you could literally put into a manual for your business of if A, then B, things like that. So your cleaners, your handymen, your guest communications, your everything that you do on a daily basis in this business has something that could be an SOP, a standard operating procedure. Yeah, no, I like the great conversation here, Jesse. Some great points. Does anyone else? I see David's back up on stage. David, I called on you a little bit earlier. Want to see if you have questions.
I messaged David. I think he's trying to dial in from a pretty bad cell service here. So,
got it.
David, if you're there, holler in. But I think he's dealing with some.
There he is.
Sorry about that. Earlier, you were talking about adding revenue, and one thing that we've found recently, we knew it all along, but we have a lot of studio apartments in the Indianapolis area, and we didn't have washers and dryers in those units. The cleaners, obviously, and we're adding 3 washer and dryers to our studio.
David, I think we're losing you there, David. You were saying you added 3 washer and dryers, and then we lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
To say that just having the washer and dryer available to the guest.
Yeah, David.
Airbnb in this particular unit. Not getting around to adding the washers and dryers. So, and we're seeing an increase in revenue of about $800 a month per studio.
So yeah, you cut out there again, David. The washer and dryer is adding revenue in what way for you? Yeah, looks like we're not getting David here.
Yeah, the guests are willing to pay more for units with a washer and dryer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just looking for ways to add value all the time, right? I mean, for us, washer dryer is an absolute must. But you know, just little things here and there. Can you add another bed to get more heads in beds, which means more money in your pocket? Can you add, some sort of entertainment? A lot of different ways to do that. Games or what's it called? Spas. Little, ways to be able. One of the ways that I loved, I went to Paso Robles once, and they had the Airbnb that I went to. They had like discounts to wineries and that kind of stuff. So that was a big I'm going to that one because they're offering some discounts to places that I know I'm going anyway. So obviously, always looking for ways to add value. Thanks for chiming in, Dave. Us up on stage here. Do you have a question?
Yeah, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on. My question is, starting out, I'm looking to scale, and the skill that I don't really possess is software savviness. So thinking about tech stacks and what platforms or what softwares integrate with one another, just be curious to hear you guys' thoughts on how you get digital savvy so you're not quite so labored in doing each individual piece.
Yeah, I'm not the most digital savvy either. I think, Jim, just like for me, I live and die by the part of our business. Well, any business really is just, master, automate, and then scale. So you got to know how to do it yourself before you bring someone else on. That's what I believe. But I also believe there's things that if you're just not good at them, then it might be time to just outsource it right away. But I don't know, just by there's a lot of these softwares out there for Airbnb and for short-term rentals that have great customer support as well. And if you don't feel like you're grasping the whole concept of how to use, call it Price Labs or Wheelhouse or IGMS or Smart B&B, a lot of times they have really great customer support that can kind of walk you through. Like for example, IGMS literally did an entire setup with me and showed me button by button how to be able to use everything, whether it was on the app or the desktop. So I think there's ways around it to be able to help you. But if you are not wanting to put in that time, either bringing someone on your team that is able to do it better than you, or just taking the time to learn it yourself. And that's going to be a lot of trial and error. That's kind of what I've done.
Sure. I think that's all great information, and thank you for it. Maybe I should clarify what I meant was do you have preferences? I don't know what Wheelhouse is. I've heard of Price Labs, but do you have preferences for things you use? I know people have talked about Logify or Smart B&B. Just curious to know what people that are already doing it successfully are utilizing.
Got it. Sorry. Yeah, I definitely misunderstood the question. Yeah, I mean, Smart B&B is definitely one for me. Guys, any technology that you absolutely die by or live and die by?
I mean, we talked about IGMS. IGMS is a property management system or PMS system. It helps sync all of your different websites that you're on, like online travel agencies or OTAs. So there's Airbnb, Vrbo, things of that nature. You can kind of sync it all onto a shared calendar, adjustments, messaging, sync in vendors and things like that.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Is what is the integrator?
Yeah. And Jim, if you, sorry, we got two Jims, Jim Bray, if you, something else you want to say about that?
Nope. I was just promoting IGMS as well.
Cool.
So I know a lot of us on stage, Kyle and Jesse and myself, we're all IGMS fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing I love about IGMS the most is that they're still pretty new to the game, and they're willing to pull the hosts all the time and ask how can we get better? How can we do better reports? I literally was on a call with their head of development last week and talked to them about like, here's how some of these reports can be better. And they already have fixed the majority of those things. So that's what's really cool about them. Just great customer support. An off-topic question from someone on the YouTube channel, John Catanzaro. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. He says, what is the best electronic front door locks? I think there's a few different ones out there that we probably all like. For me, it's Schlog. What about you guys?
I've used a bunch. August Lock is really good. They're compatible with a lot of doors. I used, let me pull it up. Hold on, give me a second. I'll pull them up. I don't remember off the top of my head.
So I haven't implemented it yet, but it's like high up on my to-do list. And actually another host reference or referred this to me, but it's the Yale lock, but with the August module. So what that does is it actually automatically, somehow it's integrated into like your PMS system. But it automatically generates a new code for each guest every time, and it automatically tracks their reservation. So their access is granted and ended according to their reservation dates.
Yeah, the Yale works just like the August. That's the second one I was going to use. I also use just a security system that comes with one of those Schlage keypad locks as well. So I've used all three of those as well.
Cool. Yeah. So John, hopefully use, I don't think you can go wrong with any one of those three. As long as you can control it from your phone, I think that's the important thing, right? Because you don't want to have to like send someone out to go help a guest get checked in. But if you want to get as in depth, like what Marvin was talking about with August and Yale, you know, being able to have like literally new codes for each guest, and it does it automatically. If you want to get that in depth, and that's a great way to do it too. I think one of the cool things too is because you can track on all three of these, you can track like when someone uses a specific code. So like if you have a code for your cleaners, if you have a code for your boots on the ground, if you have a code for your guest, it'll literally track like who used the code to get in at what time and what time did they leave and lock up, so that if something happened during that time, you can literally track back to who was in the house, or at least who had the which code was being used. All right, we've got about 15 minutes left. Would love to have a couple more questions from the guests up on in this room. Does anyone here in this room have any questions, especially, you know, with the 5 skills that we talked about? Is there any skills that you've found that you have a tough time developing and just need a little bit of help with maybe massaging one of those skills and figuring out how to get better at? We talked about sales, we talked about resourcefulness, process implementation, revenue management, empathy, and just leadership and management altogether. Does anyone have any questions about that? Raise your hand if you do.
Kyle,
Yep.
I have a question. Why wasn't communication top 5?
That is a great question. So honestly, guys, like, right, we could probably do a top 50. But yeah, let's talk about communication. Go for it, Rafa, since you brought it up.
Sure. I mean, I feel like communications is about 80% of this business, right? You need to be able to communicate with everybody from your staff to your guests, and knowing how to communicate is extremely, extremely important, right? It could, on the guest side, communication could result from a blown review to the worst possible review ever, right? Communication with your staff can mean confusion in terms of processes and systems, right? Communication could lead to resourcefulness, right? If you know how to communicate with the right people, what you're trying to communicate, can lead to a great resource for something to lead to
7. So process implementation can be in there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, Jesse. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if Jesse's with us right now. He might be doing something else, but yeah, no, 100%, man. I mean, but communication especially goes back to, Rafa, what you were saying about setting the right expectations. You know, that's a communication thing, right? If you don't set the right expectations with one of your teammates, then you've had a communication breakdown that has led to a bad review, that has led to someone not cleaning, that has led to an inadequate cleaning, that has led to a lot of different things, which can ultimately lead to the downfall of your business. So yeah, I mean, it's it's kind of like the totem pole, right? If you do something right at the top, it'll trickle down to the bottom of the organization. So I think communication is 100% one of those things that you want to trickle down through the entire organization. Cool. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, is there a top 8? Is there one that we missed? If you guys think we've missed something, would love to be able to hear. But right now, if we don't have any other questions from, Marvin, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, Kyle. Yeah, I had a question, and kind of, well, I guess it's along the line. And I really hate that I missed out on, I think, a room that Jesse and I think maybe Rafa were on right before this one, the Technology Tuesday one with John. But I wasn't able to tap in soon enough. But in regards to sales, I'm trying to migrate more towards direct bookings. And I was looking at, I can't remember the name of the website, but it's like kind of one of those highly recommended ones. But I cannot remember. I think it's Guesty or Guest. I can't. The name is not. But I'm trying to figure out what website is kind of comprehensive, where it's a good landing page, but I also can do direct bookings. I can handle security deposits, and ultimately lead to better sales.
Can I hop in on that?
Go for it, David.
Yeah, I've been using Your Porter, which was recently bought out by Guesty last week, and we have a direct booking website through them. I find it hard to direct traffic to the direct booking website, but after we get a guest, our guests are often booking through the direct booking website for their future visits. It saves them a little bit of money, and we're able to generate a little bit more money that way.
Gotcha. Okay, I've definitely heard of that one. I'm going to look into it. The one I looked at today was like $1,000. Actually, it was like maybe $700 startup, which I didn't necessarily mind paying, but it was like a year commitment. It was like, I don't want to commit to a year for something, and not potentially like it. So I'm going to try out the Your Porter. I'm not sure how much that the fee is for that one, but I'll give that a shot.
Yeah, and Marvin, I was going to say, I've got Mark Simpson coming on my my Facebook group on May 18th. So Mark is the head of Boostly, and Boostly literally does all that stuff for you. They make the site for you. They basically do a lot of like the like marketing for your site, and then they'll teach you kind of like best strategies to be able to get more direct bookings. And it's pretty cost effective from what I understand, starting off as low as $99. And that's like whether you have one listing or 100 listings. So I would look into Boostly. I think on Instagram, Mark is just at Boostly UK, BOOSTLY UK. And like I said, I'm going to be interviewing him live on my Facebook group. Our Facebook group is called AirBnB Masterminds, and should be a wealth of knowledge for direct bookings on that day too.
Gotcha. Okay, you said Masterminds May 18th. Okay, I'm definitely gonna. Is that a private group or?
Yeah, it's a private group, but I mean, as long as you request and you don't look sketchy on your photo, I'm gonna let you in. So.
Gotcha. Okay, because I get a lot of requests lately, especially being like in the medical field. I get a lot of requests from Furnish Finder, and I love Furnish Finder. I haven't been able to use it, unfortunately, because Furnish Finder, they literally only advertise. They don't do anything else. They don't collect payment. They don't set up a website, nothing. So I haven't been able to, it's like a ton of potential guests that I can redirect to a like maybe my own booking site if I was able to do that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to tune in. You said May 18th Mastermind, so I will be there. Yeah,
Airbnb Masterminds. If you just DM me on Instagram, I'll make sure you get to the right place. But you can literally just look it up on Facebook, Airbnb Masterminds. It's got like 7,000 members, so you'll know you're at the right place. Another one that I just found out about Mark probably about a month ago, but I had found out through Jesse, who's up on stage here too, that Host Zaver was a really good one. You literally could just copy your Airbnb link, put it in Host Zaver, and it makes you a direct booking site. Whether you have one listing or 1,000 listings, it's $40 a month. So that's it's a little bit more complicated than just that, but it's super simple to at least get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone else.
Absolutely, Marvin. All right. One last go around. Any other questions before we start to wrap up here and let all the moderators give themselves an outro? Throw your hand up now or forever hold your peace. It doesn't look like you're muted, but I'm not hearing anything. There we go. Titus, I can hear some noise. You raised your hand. If you got a question, you might be in a tough sell spot, I'm guessing. All right. Well, Titus, if you do get into a better spot and you want to ask your question, just go ahead and flash mic. For now, though, we're going to start letting all of our moderators give a quick outro before we wrap up the room here. I'll kick it off, and then I'll go to my right-hand man, Jim. But guys, Kyle Stanley here. We're doing this room every single Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the STR lunch break. Love talking about all these skills with you today. I want to invite everyone. Every other week, I do a free webinar, and you can get the invite from me if you just DM me on Instagram at FearlessKyle. This week, we're talking about how to build a 6-figure Airbnb business that can pretty much run on its own and can be done without owning a property. So it's an hour long, 45 minutes of just pure value and knowledge, and then 15 minutes of Q&A. So if you want to register for that, it's this Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just DM me on Instagram. Again, it's how to build a 6-figure Airbnb empire. So thanks for joining us. Jim, go ahead and give yourself a quick outro, por favor.
Thanks again, Kyle, and just appreciate everyone here in the room. Jesse, Rafa, just everybody here on the stage and in the room. Just another great topic, another great week. Excited to see everybody next week.
Awesome. And Jim, where can people find you?
Yeah, people can find me on Instagram. Just you're on Clubhouse, kind of wandering in and out of rooms. But yeah, definitely the Instagram, Circle City Traveler in my bio, or at a 5-star property. And anyone who wants to connect anytime, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Jesse, you still with us? I think Jesse had to step away. I haven't seen his mic flash in it recently. Rafa, you've been awesome today, man. Thanks for joining in. You want to give a quick outro on how people can connect with you?
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, Jim. Thanks, guys, for hosting the room. I love being here again. My name's Rafa, Southern California short-term rental operator. So actually, me and Jesse just started a room, guys. I don't know if you guys were aware of club. So it's called the Airbnb, The Big Break. We host rooms Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So if anybody has questions or wants to reach out and talk short-term rentals, and it's not just about Airbnb. We talk about everything from entrepreneurship to getting started in entrepreneurship, to becoming business owners, to starting real estate, all through using Airbnb and short-term rentals. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. We're always open to answer questions as well. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. One more chance, Jesse. You still with us? No, he's not. He's not. Well, hey, thanks all the moderators, and thanks to everyone that joined us today. If you just want to follow all the moderators, make sure you're to join in on any rooms that they're doing, and check out that club that Jesse and Rafa are doing. But until next Tuesday, y'all, we will see you again then on the STR lunch break. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, everybody.